So in this first video series, we're going to be talking about getting started in the beginning IMTech basics. So basically, preparing for success here, there's three things that you really need to get going with your internet business. Most people out there probably already know this, but it always helps to have a nice refresher. Step number one, you need to make sure you're purchasing a niche specific domain. That means a domain name specific to the market that you're trying to enter. So if that's dog training, if that's weight loss, you want to have a domain name that's very specific to whatever your target market is, meaning the people that you are trying to reach. Step number two, you want to make sure you purchase web hosting. Quite honestly, there are free places you can host your site. There's free blogging services, but there is nothing like having your own web hosting and your own domain name that you control. That's when you have a real successful online business. That's when you have something real. It's yours. Nobody else can take it away, because at any moment, with WordPress, Blogger, anything like that, in just a moment's notice, all the work you've done could be gone because they own it all. So can't encourage you more than, just if you're starting out, get a domain and get your own hosting. Step number three, you could consider it an optional step. I really consider it a very, very important step, and that is to invest in an autoresponder. And we'll talk about a few features of good autoresponders, because really an autoresponder is also something, after you get your domain and hosting, that can really generate ongoing profits, as you'll discover here in just a little bit. So these are the things we're going to be covering today. These are the technology basics that we could say. IMTech basics. This is what you've got right here. So step number one, you need to get a domain name. For those that are just brand new starting out, it's also referred to as a URL or web address, and it's basically the starting point of creating your web presence. Whether that's going to be a squeeze page, a blog, a website, you need to start off with the domain name. Now, these may seem like very basic steps, but it always, it never hurts to go back to the basics, and there's many people out there that are brand new online, and so, if you can get going and invest in the right domain right from the start, you're going to be much further ahead than a lot of people were that started off with the wrong domain when they first started out. So, in case you're wondering to know, just a little technical background, each and every domain name has a corresponding numeric address known as an IP address, and this allows hosts to connect to each other through the internet. So it's, your domain is almost like the address of your house, the address of your place of business, your favorite place to go. It's basically an address that you know exactly where it is, that's unique to that location. Initially, domain names could be 15 characters long, but now you can have up to 67 characters in a domain name. So you can have some pretty long domains, basically, is all that means. Obviously, the shorter, the better. It's basically, like I said, like the address of your house or office. And your domain is extremely important because it's the starting point of your business, so understand the importance of selecting the right domain for your projects. So the basics here around making your domain purchase include identifying a profitable niche. That means understanding who your target market is. If you are into creating sewing kits for people, then your target market is going to be people interested in sewing kits. So you would want to buy a domain related to sewing kits, for example. If you are into teaching people how to be better golfers, you would want to buy a domain name related to golfing. If, let's say, you're wanting to start a business, an e-commerce type store like Amazon or something that maybe sells pet related product, you want to have a domain name that's related to pets, dogs, cats, something of that nature, something that would relate to that market. That may seem like common sense, but I've seen people buy, some really crazy domains when they first started out. I know a lot of people that are just starting out forget the importance of having and identifying, a profitable niche and then going after it with a good domain name. Then you also want to make sure that you identify the keywords associated to that profitable niche. Now, in just a moment here, I'm going to jump off the screen and go into the Google AdWords keyword tool and show you how a cool little free tool can help you brainstorm some absolutely phenomenal domain name ideas. And, just because this part is so important, having the right keywords in your domain will actually help your website rank in the search engines. It's actually one of the most important factors. You've got title tags and meta tags. Title tags are super important, though, to getting ranking, but having the keywords in the domain as well is a very big part of ranking in the big search engines, especially with Google. So I highly recommend that you try to come up with a good keyword rich domain name. Now, if you can't write fast enough to get this domain, just remember to search in Google AdWords Keyword Tool External, and you should get this free tool, AdWords Keyword Tool External. And come into a decision on what your domain name will be and how this domain will identify your niche. That's very, very important. So just think your domain is extremely important. Put a little thought into it. Don't waste tons of time, but if it takes you a day to come up with the right domain or a few hours, then great, because it is very important. As you get more established, like anything with internet marketing or with an online business, it will become much simpler for you. Now, choosing a domain registrar. Where you purchase your domain is also important. The domain registrar should be responsive to customer needs. This means they should provide customer service in a timely, accurate, and friendly manner. And I would really consider ones that offer 24/7 support. I personally, most marketers use GoDaddy. There's also Namecheap. Those are two that come right off the bat that have tremendous customer support. Because a lot of times the domain is really, it's one of the most important assets for your online business, and so you want to have it in reliable hands. And a domain registrar is basically who you go to register your domain name. Just like you go to the bank, to do banking transactions, you go to a somebody else to do your, hairstylist to do your hair. You go to a domain registrar to get your domain. That's what they specialize in, and I recommend you go to them to get your domain going. Some domain registrars offer hosting, but as you'll find out as we go on with this training today, I recommend that you host your business elsewhere. It's not like it's going to kill you, but basically it's one of those deals where you get burgers at burger places, you get fish at fish place, and you get steak at steak places. It's the best way to put it. Some domain places offer hosting. It's nowhere near as feature rich as hosting you would get somewhere else, much like some hosting companies could allow you to register domains, but it's just not quite as good as if you register elsewhere. So so these are just some things to look at when choosing a good domain registrar when you're starting out, or even if you already have some domains purchased. You might want to go back and on your future domains maybe look at a few other options. Like I said, purchase them from separate places. This allows you more control, because if something happened with the domain registrar, then everything's down, so at least you have some control there. And then you want to point your domain to another web host, and you'll be up and running in a very short time, as I'm actually going to show you here live. And like I said, GoDaddy or Namecheap, they're considered the best just because most people use them. GoDaddy actually does a lot of Super Bowl commercials. They really get themselves out there. They are extremely reliable. I know most online marketers tend to use GoDaddy. There's really a number of domain registrars. You can go to Google and find them, but just try to look for some that have a good track record, have been online for about 5 to 10